demand immediate reaction and say, if you don't bail us out, the whole country's going to fall apart. So the wealthy to get bailed out, even though they had been making the money all along, and all of that debt gets dumped on the people. So the emergencies require emergency action, usually making things much worse. And overseas as well. If we don't do this, what about all the excuses for going into Iraq? We have to go into Iraq because they have weapons of mass destruction. They have ability to deliver a message over here. They're harboring the Al-Qaeda and on and on. This stuff wasn't true. And we went in there and we had these unnecessary wars, and now we're in Afghanistan. It's always frightening the people and getting people to go along with it. Right now they're beating the war drums to do the same thing against Syria as well as Iran. We need to make sure that they tell us the straight scoop. We shouldn't be, taking on this and supporting these wars that aren't permissible and insist that they only be declared. Leads to a very, very careless attitude about the real purpose of government, and that is to protect our personal liberty. Today, our personal liberty is under threat. And if there was only one thing that you had to work on protecting, it is personal liberty. And some people say, well, that means you have to give time and money and effort and do all these stuff. Yes, but it isn't like you're donating something or you're giving something away. We have an obligation, those of us who have come to this conclusion, that, it is for our own self-benefit. It's for our benefit of our family and our kids and our community. It isn't a sacrifice to do that. This is necessary just for self-preservation. But today, steady erosion of personal liberty. All you have to do is look around what's happening. All you have to do is decide you have to go on an airplane trip and think of the humiliation that some people have to go through at airports. And they do this without search warrants. They do this under the guise of the power they've gotten from the Patriot Act to go and search and force people through all kinds of things and saying that you don't need a search warrant to do these things. They can break into our houses, have unwarranted searches in our houses. They can look at our internet. They can go on and on. And this is a consequence of the fear and the misunderstanding of 9/11. It was only a couple of days, a week or so after 9/11 that they passed the Patriot Act. Patriot Act wouldn't have passed if we'd have called it repeal the Fourth Amendment Act. The steady erosion occurs, whether it's a consequence of the war of drugs, which has been an excuse for people invading and doing the unconstitutional searches, but also just the way the system of regulations, the administrative courts, whether it's the EPA or any other agency, or that one other favorite agency that I'm sure everybody here loves, and that's called the Internal Revenue Service. They write the regulations. They become the law of the land. Nobody understands it, but they come and you're guilty until proven innocent. They're not even allowed under the Constitution to write regulations. Regulations are laws, and laws are supposed to be written by the Congress. This shouldn't be permitted. And someday we're going to have a revolution. We're going to change all that. Under the excuse of the drug laws, they have made our houses many times the wrong houses. But what else do they do? They say, well, people shouldn't be doing those things. We have to stop them. But what about the places are being raided that might be selling nutritional products or raw milk or something like this? They get broken into, and the federal government closes them down. So we have undermined our opportunity to make our own choices when it comes to food and nutrition and alternative to medical care. And quite frankly, we could solve that problem by allowing you to make up your own mind about what kind of About a year ago, the president had one of his designees go to the Senate and testify that it is now the policy of the president of the United States that he has the authority to assassinate American citizens. No trial, no charges, nothing. Because if he's designated him a bad guy, he's allowed to do this. And somebody asked him, well, where do you get this authority in the Constitution? And he says, well, it's there. He says, I'm the commander-in-chief. I can do everything I want to do except those things that I am prohibited from doing by the Constitution. That's not the way it's written. He's allowed to do only the things that he's explicitly allowed to do, not what he thinks he's written. Has gone on to prove his point, and the 3 American citizens have been assassinated. You say, that's only 3, they were probably bad guys. One guy was very controversial, but the whole thing is even the controversial people deserve trials. If they don't deserve a trial, what are they going to do with us when they, arrest one of us? So he decided, after killing the first person was Al-Awlaki, he decided that what family member was also collaborating with him, so they assassinated that family member. It turned out it was his 16-year-old son who was out cooking in the barbecue with his cousin, and both of them got killed. Well, this doesn't go over well, and I think we need to be aware of it, because this is the way it starts. It's incrementalism. They do it secretly for a while, we don't know about it, and then they change the law and make it legitimate. We're at the point where they've done it secretly for a while. Now they're saying the law permits it. Now, to add insult to injury, the Congress passed this National Defense Authorization Act. And that was signed into law on January 1st. And this, of course, repeals Pauper Comitatus, which says that the president can use his military to arrest any American who they think is a suspect.
Good luck with that!
They said, well, the only definition is that associated forces, associated with somebody who might be causing a criminal act. No charges made. He can be arrested, held without a trial, without an attorney, put in a secret prison indefinitely. That became the law of the land.
No! Try it!
So, right now, how many people? I don't know. Not very many. There's been a few, but it's no law of the land. So these are the kind of things that we have to address. If we allow these to slip by, sometimes it gets to be too late. So it is the attack on liberty which really is necessary to address. That indirectly will address the foreign policy as well as the economic policy, dealing with who owns property and who does the contracting and what happens in a volunteer society. So the crisis is here today. I'm encouraged, though, in spite of all these problems we have, I'm actually encouraged. Mainly because I'm meeting not thousands, tens of thousands of people like you who are sick. And of those tens of thousands, quite a few have come from the state of Idaho. So, which means that if this message is going to get out, we have a very good opportunity coming up rather quickly, like tomorrow, to express ourselves. Freedom is something that is relatively new. We get accused so often of going back to the dark ages of the gold standard of the 19th century. But let me tell you, those who advocate big government and downplay what we're talking about are the ones who are favoring a system that has been around a lot longer than freedom, and that's called tyranny. And when you advocate big government, you're going in the wrong direction. So we've had a relatively short period of time in this country and practiced it for well over 100 years. We became very, very wealthy, the wealthiest country ever, the largest middle class ever, the richest middle class ever, and distribution of wealth better than ever before. It's not true anymore. The middle class is shrinking, standard of living is going down, the privileged are getting benefits, they get the bailouts, they get the benefits from the system that is in place. If they get into trouble, they get bailout, and we end up holding the debt. So it's not like it used to be. But the message is out there. The numbers of people are growing. They want to see changes. Washington is still pretty much asleep. So our message has to be heard loud and clear in order to